All right.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. We're back. So,
Now this is
yeah.
a new video. Everybody, let's do the introduction
Yeah, it's
again.
kind of a new video. I mean, for people in the future, when they click this, it will look like a new video. Just so that people know, I've got this weird internet issue. I don't know what it is, but my internet just dies on me. It just craps out and it just dies. So, yeah, we were in the middle of discussing all of the elite specializations. The new weapons, not even elite special. Look at how ingrained that is in me, Boots, to just say that and speak that way. It's unbelievable. Yeah, so we were in the middle, and then my internet died. Usually, it catches itself up, and the video will go on. But that one died for so long, the whole video ended. So we have to do it in two parts. Yeah, Boots. Next time I just randomly go silent, it's just that my internet's died, and it should come back pretty quick.
I was going hello.
Yes, hello? Yeah, and we could hear you. That's the weird thing. It's like only
I thought my internet had died because your stream went down for me, so there was that, and then you stopped talking, so I thought it was my internet that was dead, and then everybody in chat was going like F.
Yeah, no. But what's weird is when I couldn't upload anymore, I could still hear you. Like you're in that video going hello.
Oh no.
Yeah. Anyway. Let's jump straight back into this. Okay, so we're in the middle of Ellie. We've just learned that when you use a button, you get a bullet of that element, and then the next time you use a button, it spends that bullet.
Should we restart?
No, because people can just watch it through. It's fine.
Right.
So then we learn about the skill 5, and essentially the point is you could choose for more damage, or you could choose to gain barrier based on the button that you press. This will definitely be one of those ones where playing it makes it make sense.
Yeah.
You know, the funny... Sorry, go on.
I think so. When I read this, it like just a build was screaming to me, which was a Condi Weaver, Earth and Fire, right? Like just going back and forth between Earth and Fire. Because I had a build like that going on before
with the Earth Shield,
with Dagger and Earth Shield too, sure. But with the pistol, I think it'll just be a ridiculous amount of damage. Just the way it's described.
I mean, I that's a way to think about it. I also sort of feel like though, as soon as something's superly overtuned, they'll hopefully bring the tuning back down. So,
yeah, I guess so.
It's more about the flow of the weapon for me. Now, I got to be honest. When Catalyst came out, I love Catalyst Hammer now. I think it's really fun, and I've really got used to it, and I'm really enjoying it. I play it a lot. But it feels like it was very recent, as End of Dragons was coming out, and I was playing Catalyst in those betas. I remember I was streaming at the time, and it did not click with me for ages. I just couldn't. It was just really slow to learn it, and I wonder whether pistol's going to feel the same for me now.
It might be a little while before you learn it, because it sounds like, based on the amount of extra little bonuses you give to all the skills, if you do certain combos or do certain...
That there's a lot to figure out, and a lot
to figure out. You could probably like stack a bunch of interesting things onto a final finisher skill, for example, if you're doing PvP.
And Weaver makes it so complicated as well in terms of like getting you, and then you can customize the offhand with this. So I fully expect to not enjoy this because the beta isn't going to be long enough for my slow brain to learn it. But one day I'll really like it.
It sounds like, if you wanted to go the Weaver route, it sounds like the simplest, most easy to understand way to do it would be the Fire Earth DPS version.
Yeah.
But it sounds like there's a lot of depth to it, and it could be really interesting to play.
Yeah. By the way, I never quite finished the Weaver thing. So they say Weaver makes things more complicated as they can attune to multiple elements at once and have access to the multi-element dual attacks. So how does this interact with elemental bullets? Dual attacks consume both of them at once, granting unique bonus for each bullet. And if any matching bullet is available when you use a dual attack, all matching bullets will be consumed to grant their bonuses. In the event that there isn't a bullet, the dual attack creates a single bullet with the match as the primary attunement. So there's a lot of specific little nitty-gritty details there that we'll have to...
Okay, so you only consume a certain element's bullet if you use a skill of that element. Otherwise, you create it.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. I think that's what they said.
Okay. So there's not quite as many combinations you could do, but there's still a good amount.
So here we got the trailer here, guys. We're in the monk outfit this time. It looks like we're shooting some char.
What's Menlo doing?
Oh, there's a very weird cut there. Oh, that's interesting. It looks like the fire probably Fire 5. It creates a field and then it explodes a bunch of little fireballs, like cascade out away from it. Did you see that with the Fire 5?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, that's quite interesting. Yeah, there's so many buttons to talk about here. I guess with the blog post, what they just opted with is to talk about the mechanic, and we'll get into specific buttons later when they do their own stream of it or whatever.
Too many.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm happy that when we get a 3-button weapon, they did go through all of them. But yeah, I can see one of them's like the Water 2 probably feels a lot like Engineer Pistol 2 or Harbinger Pistol 2. You can hear it's the same sort of rapid fire thing.
Yeah. So I wonder, I do
water,
wonder
it probably
about
does
the auto
volume.
attacks though.
You want to know what the auto attack's like?
Well, no, because the issue is for me here is that all the interesting things about this weapon are on the skills themselves, like the 2 and 3 of everything, because they generate and use all the orbs.
Yeah.
The auto attacks don't do anything, right? They're just auto attacks.
Yeah, they said that doesn't have the orb mechanic. It's probably just like damage plus a condi associated with the element or something, you know, and then they don't really do much else there. It's again, this is one of those things where it's like normally I'd be thinking, okay, what traits might modify it, but traits don't modify these yet. I mean, they might eventually go through and do stuff. But yeah, also, I do like the look of all the orbs around you. You know what, guys? What you need to do is you need to run Aurora and all that stuff.
And have like a million orbs.
Yeah, just to have the ultimate orb character. And call him the Orb. All right, I'm sure that character name's available.
And also run it as a catalyst.
Yes, you could. Well, the hammer, but then you don't have the pistol, so... You could weapon swap, because you're not in combat. So you can put all the hammer orbs up.
Do your orbs stay up when you weapon swap?
Do you know what? I've never tested that, but I'm pretty sure they would. And I would test it, except with our DC there, I have now logged out of the game. So.
Oh, no. Do your pistol orbs remain when you weapon swap?
Well, that'll be something for the beta, yeah, because you could do it the other direction, couldn't you? Yeah. All right, next we are on to Engineer. Engineer with a short bow. Now, we had high hopes for this, didn't we? And cool ideas. Like, I think it was you that said you could, like, fire gadgets and stuff around, right?
Yeah, that would have been cool.
And is that what they did? Do you know?
It's interesting in its own way. It's not what I was thinking about, but it's interesting in its own way. It's very support-oriented, though, it seems.
Really? Okay. Solving problems one detonation at a time, the Engineer has been experimenting with isolating and storing the magic used by others and infusing them into their own contraptions. This has led to the creation of essence-infused arrows, devices equipped with canisters of distilled magic that can be fired at a distant location. These arrows can then be detonated, releasing the essence within and covering the surrounding area with a magic field that affects both allies and enemies. The magic from these canisters may even combine in certain circumstances, causing their effects to become more potent than when used by themselves. I like this combination idea. Like, you put two fields next to each other and now they're a different field.
Now the question is, do these fields also create combo fields?
Yeah. By wielding the short bow, the Engineer exchanges attack power for team support, so it is another support weapon. Gaining a total of 4 types of essence-infused arrows that can be fired into the ground. Despite them being arrows, the actual act of placing these in the ground is unblockable, so don't worry about those pesky projectile blockers getting in your way. These devices vary in effect, from debilitating your enemies to strengthening or protecting your allies. Once planted, the arrows can be triggered in several ways. They'll detonate by themselves after a set amount of time, if the Engineer is close enough, or the Engineer can choose to detonate them manually with a follow-up skill. Finally, all the arrows, except the auto, have a special property called Chain Reaction. When an arrow is active, it will also cause your other arrows in range to detonate. I like this. It's weird that it's on support, but this is cool. So you basically set up a giant minefield and they all chain detonate off together.
Yep.
Yeah. If this happens, those arrows gain bonus effects depending on the initial arrow that caused the detonation. As an example of how this works, let's look at the second skill in the set, Essence of Animated Sand. Wow, what a name. When it detonates, enchanted sand is spread over an area, immediately granting barrier to allies in the vicinity and crippling enemies. That's cool. So they're probably reusing some of the Scourge like visuals for this. Yeah. And that makes me think, but maybe they'll use like some of the mud visuals from that, like those weird Weaver abilities, you know? Like mudslide and stuff. When detonating other arrows, it causes them to grant a small amount of barrier on initial detonation as well, regardless of their original effect. You could either layer all the arrows on a single spot to give out a large amount of barrier in a small area, or spread them out for maximum coverage, depending on the situation. Chain reaction, I wonder how similar this is going to feel to planting like sand shades around. Sand shades, obviously, if you put all the shades on one spot, it doesn't give a bonus, right? But here you do get a bonus for a similar situation.
Yeah.
Chain reaction effects are not limited to the initial detonation either. So the fourth skill, Essence of Liquid Wrath, grants might and vulnerability, then continues to pulse might. I read that as puke there. My eyes blurred a little bit. To puke might to allies afterwards. Its bonus effect allows other arrows to also pulse might to allies in effective radius, making stacking multiple arrows in the same spot an effective way to strengthen allies in a short period of time. Wow.
Yeah.
There's a lot to get my head around there. This is a lot like the Ellie thing a second ago. I really just want to play this to sort of see how it feels.
Yeah, I'd like to know what the other skills are, because we got, sorry, excuse me, Barrier and Might, 2 supportive things. There's 2 other skills that will be detonating things, right? Are any of them damage boosts?
I don't know.
Or is this just a purely supportive?
They mostly made it sound very supporty.
Yeah.
Again, I'm sorry, I'm a broken record. If it was an elite spec, there would probably be a Grandmaster that's like, okay, supporty stuff on it or damagey stuff on it. You know, you can imagine that Grandmaster toggle, right? Okay, so let's watch the video. They have picked the most low-resolution, like, ugly bit of Jade Sea to stand on here. If this came out before End of Dragons, this would have caused an uproar about how the Jade Sea looks.
You need something really flat to be able to see the things.
I guess so. All right, so here we go. We're in the classic Asura cultural armor here.
Venn diagram.
Oh, we're actually in the new map, aren't we? We're in Amatas here. In Skywatch. Oh, I like this.
Pretty short, but we saw different things on the ground. We sure did. Oh no! Did it happen again?
No. I'm watching the trailer. All right, so yeah, it's like we inject liquids into the into the floor.
And it doesn't
with
look
these
like
devices.
they're combo fields. Based on when they're not detonated yet, they're not combo fields. That's for sure.
Yeah.
When they are detonated, I don't see any combo field things coming up, which is a shame because that would have been interesting too.
They have that little blue telegraph there though, which is usually reserved for like an actual like encounter specific mechanic, you know, stand here because the encounter's telling you to stand here, but they put it on you know, just the end of any of these. I like the look of this. This reminds me a little bit of as well at launch, where like they revealed the like the mines and the fact they had blinking LEDs on it, and people got really mad. They was like, "This is a fantasy game. You're not meant to have mines with LEDs." And now look at this trailer we're looking at. Look at the environment we're in with the animations that we're in. It's so futuristic and sci-fi. It's crazy. Yeah, this could be a sink or swim kind of weapon though, because it does seem very all in on like, okay, you're going to spam a bunch of areas. I hope it doesn't feel too much like grenades in terms of every single bind is a ground target.
It is all ground targets.
That kind of kills grenades for me. I kind of don't like grenades for that. I know you can fiddle with your game settings in such a way that it mitigates that annoyance, but yeah.
It is interesting that the placing them is unblockable, and it's
the other thing is with NG, you can't weapon swap either. So like this weapon almost
this is your weapon.
This is all in on that idea of like lots of ground targets all at once, and it feels to me like if that was on any other class, it would be fine because it'd be like, okay, just weapon swap off every now and then. But with NG, you can't do that. I suppose you supplement with kits though, right? So half the time you're doing this, the other half the time you're on a med kit, you know, maybe, or an elixir gun.
I wonder. It's because you only have that. Yeah, if it is only very support oriented, then that could. Yeah, what would you use it on? I guess is my question. I guess you could do with Holosmith, for example.
Oh, you're thinking in terms of elite specs, or a mech?
Yeah.
Mechanist. Mechanist has got a bunch of supporty things.
No, you could do it as. But I'm saying if you don't want to just use it as a support person, you could be on Holosmith. Use your Holosmith hollow form as your damage dealer.
Yeah, the Photon Forge. Yeah,
that
could be a way to supplement it. Okay, so the final two guys, we have Guardian and we have Necromancer. Both specialization professions I'm quite excited about actually. I think pistols on Guardian is a really fun concept to me. And I think sword on Necro is a really fun concept. So I kind of feel like they might have saved the best for last. And again, there's this thing of recency bias, who knows? But if people are just extra excited about these ones because they've come most recently. But here we go. So it's the Guardian's turn to step into the limelight. wielding not one, but two pistols. This came out just before the weekend, right? And Necromancer came out just after the weekend.
That's right, yeah.
Okay, so it's Guardian's turn to step into the limelight, wielding not one, but two pistols as their new weapons to combat the growing threat of the hostile Cryptis. The pistols are a pair of ranged weapons that specialize in dealing condition damage, allowing the Guardian to inflict bleeding and burning on their enemies from a distance with ease.
Yeah, so Guardian never really had a second good ranged Condi weapon, or even a second good Condi weapon, frankly. A main hand, I mean, because you have the torch offhand that you use all the time, but for main hand you have the axe, and you have to use like the scepter or maybe a sword.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. You're definitely right. So this actually fits a very good niche here. First, let's look at the cornerstone of any weapon, the auto attack. The pistol's basic attack, through the heart, fires a single fast projectile that damages and inflicts bleeding on those struck. Notably, the projectile pierces through enemies, allowing up to 5 targets to be hit.
I do like that. And I'm looking forward to using that in World vs. World.
Yeah, nice piercing auto. That already sounds just really strong. If you think about like Harbinger pistol, it's also AoE, but that's an explosion around the target. This one is different in that it will pierce through the target, you know. Many of the other skills on this weapon set act in a similar way, allowing users to attack multiple enemies with the correct positioning. Already sounds quite fun to play, genuinely. Now let's check one of the more vital skills on the main hand pistol, Symbol of Ignition.
So when it says many of the other skills in this weapon set act in a similar way, does that mean that skill 2 and 3
also pierce, and
or some of them they all pierce? Okay.
I would assume, yeah, they all pierce or they all act in these lines, yeah. Now let's check one of the more vital skills in the main hand pistol, Symbol of Ignition. Positioned in the 3rd slot, this skill plants a symbol on the ground below you that damages enemies. Striking an enemy within the symbol or firing a projectile through it causes the symbol to also inflict burning when it pulses. Oh, this is kind of cool. This is like the classic, someone drops a fire field, someone else projectile combos through it, but we get to do that for ourselves.
Does it also create a fire field though? No, it's replacing
it's their own special variation of that, I guess. Okay. In addition, firing projectiles through the symbol causes them to ignite. I mean, all symbols are light fields, right? I would expect this to be a light field too.
Yeah, I think so.
In addition, firing projectiles through the symbol causes them to ignite, allowing them to inflict extra burning on targets they hit in addition to their original effect. As an example of how you might possibly use the Symbol of Ignition, let's look at another skill on the offhand pistol, Hail of Justice. As you may have surmised from the name, this fires a volley of piercing projectiles at your foe, each one inflicting bleeding and cripple up to 5 enemies. Combine it with the symbol, allows you to apply a plethora of damage and conditions in a short period of time. Yeah, I like this.
Now, my
nice
question is this.
Little setup payoff. Oh, and they've...
Yeah, so it's saying that when you shoot a bullet through it, you do an extra burning.
Yeah.
And if you hit somebody in the symbol, that's an extra bit of burning. Or an extra bit of, burning. So does that mean if there's something in your symbol and you shoot it with
you get a
gun,
triple effect?
Okay.
Well, I would assume. I tried to say that with a question mark at the end.
Yeah,
I don't know. That's a good thought, though. I would assume you get the triple effect. Again, these are all mechanics. If what we're looking at is a PvE perspective, we're all stacked on the boss anyway, putting all our effects right at its feet anyway. So this is just free procs, basically, as far as that side of the game's concerned. But when I think about being in World vs. World with this or whatever, I think that's really fun.
I think I would have preferred if it was a symbol that you ground targeted shot rather than it appears right at your feet. It adds a little more versatility, but I think it's fine.
I don't know though, Boots. I think you're right. It's more usable, but we already have that, like when we think about longbow symbol, that's that. This is now a kind of a different... That will contribute a lot. The way they've done this will actually make this feel like a very new weapon.
True. Okay.
And unlike anything we've had on the rest of Guardian, but even in the game, actually. So,
and the way it also sounds is if you put down the Symbol of Ignition, swap weapons, and use any other weapon, and you're hitting something inside the symbol, you still do the extra fire.
That does sound like that would work that way. Yeah, that's cool too. I like this, dude. This might be at the top of my list. I can really easily imagine how this plays.
Agreed.
And it's 5 buttons. And it fills a brilliant niche.
Exactly.
This is good, I think.
So for me, I think I mean, totally agree with you. The way it's written and what it fills and what I needed for the builds I like to use, it's exactly what I want. But then I looked at the video and I got a little bit worried.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. I was going to say, I was just thinking we should have tier listed this as we went. And this probably would be at the top, I think, for me. For now, all right, so here we go. So it's also the longest trailer, 27 seconds. Oh boy, that's a whole 7 seconds extra. We're nearly 50% longer. All right, so here we go. I'm going to click play in 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, we're in the Eskimo outfit now. Or Arctic Explorer, I think it's called. And we're melting the icy elementals. They're picking the ugliest weapon sold, though. Whoa, what is that? Giant bullet attack? Oh, what didn't you like about that?
For me, it was how slow every bullet seemed.
Oh, you wanted like it to be rapid?
A little faster than that. I mean, I guess with quickness it'll be better, but it definitely, the auto attack seemed very slow. Even the unload basically seemed pretty slow, and especially the third skill there. Or
but what is it you don't like about that? Because you think slow means it won't do much damage? Because they can tune it.
They could tune it, except for the fact that a lot of damage for some Condi builds is through the
F1, yeah.
Justice effect, and that means you have to hit fast. So if you're hitting slow, it's not that great.
Yeah, I thought maybe that you got a point there. That's fair. I mean, when you can also conjure a Sword of Justice onto someone, when you have symbol from another weapon set down there anyway, hopefully it's okay. I feel like I'm kind of excited to have... for example, I really like Longbow on Dragon Hunter, and that's another slow, weightier weapon. I kind of like the slower, weightier weapons. I think Guild Wars is way too fast procs and stuff. So if I were creating a clean slate of weapons, I would skew them all a little bit slower, personally. So I'm all right with that. But yeah, I didn't expect this giant, like, bullet nuke ability in there either. They didn't talk about that at all in the blog post, did they?
Yeah, that must be 4 or 5 or something.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm quite excited for that one. I think that remains at the top of my list for now.
Yeah.
As long as it doesn't
By
feel
the way,
too...
as a Canadian, Inuit, not Eskimo.
Oh, okay, okay. The Inuit outfit. I think it's just called Arctic Explorer in game. All right, so finally, guys, this is the last one, and hopefully we don't DC or lag out in the middle of this. That would be pretty miserable. We'd have a part 3 for half a class. Okay. All right, so it's the sword-wielding necromancers. These guys are gluttons for punishment. Insatiable appetites. Necromancer sword skills focus on dealing powerful strike damage in an area while consuming enemies' vital energy to sustain the wielder. Sorry, I'm suppressing a banana burp there. The main hand sword skill 3, Path of Gluttony, will allow the necromancer to leap to an enemy. Mobility plus Necro already, I think, is interesting to read. Healing themselves for each enemy struck. Hungering Maelstrom, the offhand sword 4, damages and steals health from enemies in a targeted area. So it's very like life siphony, vampiric. I kind of like that. Drain tanky.
Yep. And very... I mean, it's saying it's a power weapon. Strike damage instead of condition damage.
Yeah, powerful strike damage. You're right, yeah. Which is interesting because obviously we already have Reaper and Greatsword, so we already have a melee power strike damage archetype in the game. I think
it fits as the other weapon set for a Reaper very well.
Yeah. With so much, because, you know, it's weird to be swapping to staff, for example. For damage.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess some people do axe instead, but... Yeah.
With so much healing, a necromancer might find themselves with a surplus of health. Oh, it sounds very resustaining, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, their swords always hunger. Each sword skill has a secondary ability that can be activated by sacrificing health. Oh my god, they put a sacrifice mechanic in and everything. Yeah. Oh.
It was very cool.
Path of Gluttony can be reactivated to cast Gorge. You leap again, repeating the effects of the first leap, while also corrupting boons on enemies struck. Hungering Maelstrom's reactivation is Gormandize. Gormandize will damage and chill... I've never heard that word in my life. What does Gormandize mean?
Eat.
Yeah, like gourmands, but just eating. Yeah. Will damage and chill enemies struck by Hungering Maelstrom. The swords allow you to sustain yourself through fights while also increasing your offensive capabilities at the price of your own health. Will the risk be worth the reward or find yourself in a... Oh, maybe I'm just a sucker for Necromancer. That sounds cool.
It does sound cool. When I first saw this, it was definitely the one I was like, ooh, this one's the coolest for sure. Because it's also, I think every time I talk about elite specs with people and it gets to Necromancer, I think the first thing that most people think of for a new elite spec is something that you sacrifice your own health for stuff.
Yeah.
And because you have so much lifesteal and stuff. So I think the fact that this the idea of an elite spec rolled into these weapons is really cool.
Yeah, I think that's really good too. And it's been a funny thing as well, where over the years, like obviously Guild Wars 1 had proper life stealing stuff and sacrifice mechanics, like blood cost for actual buttons. That's kind of the genesis, right? With Guild Wars 2, they did try to emulate it with corruptions, but they did it as like you condy yourself instead of doing flat damage. And nowadays in the balance, nobody thinks of that as a real sacrifice mechanic, that you condy yourself. Right. Nobody cares. Right. And then when Harbinger came out, they were like, okay, well, we'll do it, but through the Shroud. And again, nobody really cares that you lower your max health with the Shroud or whatever. It doesn't feel like what people have been asking for all this time.
This you could actually, hopefully, you should be able to damage yourself enough to kill yourself, and that would be interesting, I think.
And I like the idea of, like a life siphony, very aggressive melee thing. And there's good mobility on it as well. I can really imagine myself playing this.
Think about this. Imagine if we bring back the good old days when, I mean, I think it's still pretty strong. Necromancer downstate is the best downstate in the game. You could downstate yourself on purpose and just be in downstate.
When you say best, what do you mean? Just in terms of damage, just holding the auto?
How strong the drain is on yeah.
That's what? Yeah, sorry. Hold on. You're not suggesting we kill ourselves just to downstate.
Just for the downstate, yeah, for sure.
I like that. That's very good.
I don't think we still have it anymore, but we used to have those runes of the afflicted that like you do a nova whenever you go in downstate.
Yeah, that's a thing. They used to have a trait that would turbocharge it. I don't think it's in there anymore.
I don't think it's there anymore.
I got to watch this trailer. I got to see these animations. So here we go. 23 seconds, guys. This is the last one. So enjoy. 3, 2, 1, go. Once again, we're in Ender Dragons. That Safari looks pretty good. I think that's the 7 Reaper weapons. Oh, there's a lot of range on it. Oh, what the hell? Oh my god. It looks like you're in Death Shroud, like core Death Shroud, but you're not in Death Shroud. You're actually just doing, like the very, very green animations, right?
Yeah.
It looks like Life Blast and all that kind of stuff. That final one that turns you into a giant green cloud looks kind of crazy.
It looks like piercing slices on whatever one that one was.
Oh, this isn't what I thought. I thought it was going to be melee boots, but it looks like there's a lot more range on that than I realized.
Yeah. Piercing slices, and I hope that like the full width of those slices is a pierce, like you get a big swath of people in it.
Yeah. This is one of those situations where the lifesteal mechanic, there's a dodge in this trailer as well. The lifesteal mechanic, you don't get out of a cinematic trailer like this. So really beta next week or live stream from the devs to really get a sense of how it looks and feels. It really feels like it was not long ago. I was watching the devs live stream of like Willbender and them talking about how Willbender has the invulnerability mechanic and all that kind of stuff. Right? Like,
yeah.
And, we'll get an equivalent of that soon. Hopefully a lot easier for them to show off now that there's, just a weapon to do. But some of these are pretty meaty. Like, Ellie's going to have so much to talk about.
On that leap animation, if you go back to it, it's interesting because it looks like they swing down with both weapons. But that doesn't make sense because they don't have a dual attack.
I think that's just... A lot of animations in Guild Wars look like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does look good. I like how they opened the trailer with that as well. But yeah, that's what got me thinking, I kind of want to see how much health he spent versus what he got back,
Yeah.
Yeah, this looks good. Oh man, they saved the best for last, I think. I think they did. I think
so too. I think it's very good.
So what's your top 3 boots out of these?
Just the cool factor, definitely the Necro is one of the top 3.
Yeah.
I want to say I think that Elementalist pistol is also up there.
Oh yeah.
And I want to say if there actually is a water field on the warrior staff, it would be up there as well. But I don't see one yet, so maybe not.
No.
If the guardian pistol skills feel fast enough with quickness, that would be in the top 3 as well.
Yeah. And what do you think is at your bottom? What do you think your last one is?
My lowest one, I mean, it's probably just a factor of the fact that I don't play Ranger that much. Probably the Ranger maces are
yeah, I was just thinking, I just scrolled past that and I was just thinking, is Ranger very high on my list? I don't know whether it is.
I'd have to see what the mechanic really looks like and feels like. It could be really good, but again, like I said, I don't play Ranger that often, so for me, it's not that interesting.
Yeah.
And if the short bow for the engineer is too fully support based, like they only talked about 2 skills and they were both support skills. If that's the case, it would be not that interesting to me. Even though the mechanic's really cool, I need the other 2 skills to be very different.
I was thinking the exact same thing. I was thinking engineer feels a little bit weak to me. It just something about the fact that they're all ground targets and the chain detonation sounds cool, except the fact we all know we're just going to spam them all on the same goddamn area and they're all going to blow up. So I don't know. I feel like that short bow feels like a kit to me. And then there's a lot of weird discussion you can do about what is the difference between a kit and a 200 weapon as far as engineers concerned. But so I don't know. Does it really stack up to like hammer? Does it, in terms of like how they feel and the different things that you have access to on them? So I don't know. I think my bottom 2 are the same as yours actually, but I think engineer is lower than the maces.
Okay.
And I want to note though, one of my favorites you didn't mention, but really is up there. I really like the look of that Revenant scepter. I think that looks super cool. I love the giant energy beam.
I think it looks nearly as cool as you could possibly be. With the fact that it's only 3 skills.
Yes, yeah, of course. And hopefully the tether stuff doesn't end up feeling too limp. But there you go. Okay, guys, that is our run through of the new Elite specs. Thanks so much for coming on, Boots, and providing such wonderful commentary. Christ knows what I'd end up just rambling about if I was doing this alone. And you've thought of so many things there that I never would have in a million years as well. So thank you for coming on with this. The beta is next week, guys. I will endeavour to have something out for you guys with that. I've still got my main playthrough of the recent patch to finish. Apparently there's barely anything left, but we will have another episode on that coming up very soon. Sorry that this got split into 2. Internet issues. What can I say? But yeah, so thanks to everyone who came live, who found this while it was live. Anyone who's just watching this as a regular video, I'm very keen for your comments. And you can obviously get in touch on Discord. Links are in the description. I got a link to Boots' channel in the description as well. So please do check that out, everybody. And thanks very much for watching. Anything you want to add, Boots?
No, I'm good. But looking forward to trying these out.
Yeah, so we'll see what we can do. Thank you, guys. Have a great evening. Take care now. And see you next time. Bye-bye, guys.
Bye-bye.